A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to the Oversharing podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
How is it going? We are in the throes of September when this episode airs. How do you feel? Kids are back in school?
Kids are back in school, trying to let their life be their life and not, absorb all. It is crazy how much harder, starting probably in middle school, how much harder I think a lot of these kids work and how much they do all day compared to what most adults do. Like they are micromanaged all day, 8 periods a day. They both often get there at like 7 o'clock in the morning, like arrive at their place at 7 a.m. Sometimes don't leave until, like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Tonight, Maddie's going to be there till 8 p.m. Like it's a lot having to ask to go to the bathroom and every single thing you do and afraid of getting in trouble at every turn. It's really, and high school is probably even worse. It's a lot.
I mean, structure is good.
Yeah,
for kids, but maybe sound a little overstructured maybe in some ways.
No, I mean, it's good. It teaches them, work ethic and that there's not a lot of downtime during their day. And they constantly have to be on. But yeah, sucks for them. I'm here in my living room you
did your time.
I did my time. We all did. I remember like crazy getting to high school, like arriving at high school and it was dark out for a long time after even getting there. So
that is crazy. Like I would never take any job that started at 7 a.m.
You have to be there at 7 a.m. fully packed, loaded. She has 2 backpacks, a clarinet, an athletics bag, switching shoes, lunch for now, dinner for later. It's like a lot.
5 days a week. No adult even has to go usually 5 days a week.
Yeah, it's a lot. But you'd think by the third kid that I'd be prepared for the birds and the bees conversation, which happened over the weekend with Brooks.
How did it come about?
And it happens to most parents, like out of the blue, they just ask, like, where do babies come from? And it's like, you're on, how much are they ready to know? I think the girls asked a little later. He's probably a little more advanced because he has older sisters.
Right.
So he
hears
knows,
more chatter.
Yeah, more chatter. He knows, like he knows that the baby comes out of the vagina.
Okay. Good start.
I
mean, he's seen pregnant women before.
Right. And I think he's probably heard just about like having babies and maybe that it's, challenging for the woman. And like he knows, I don't know exactly how he knew that part, but he was like, how does the baby get in there?
Right.
I think the hardest part, the part for me that's always the hardest about having this conversation is like the penis and vagina part of the conversation. Because that part is like disturbing.
Right. It's a little graphic.
For kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So,
I mean, you could choose to be more vague than that, but I guess.
Yeah.
Should you? You could go many different ways. Which way should you go? I don't remember. Do you remember like a talk that was had with you? I don't remember having any sort of discussion about that.
The moment of realization.
Yeah. I don't remember how I like learned about all of that, but I definitely don't remember like a singular conversation.
Yeah, neither do I. Hopefully he won't either.
Because you're not proud of your explanation.
No, I mean, it's fine. He's young, right? So like I would have rather, and I tried to give like a little bit less information. Like I was kind of like, the daddy has the seed and the mom has the egg, and then, they come together and they make the baby.
Right.
And so, I'm like, okay, great. That's it. Good night. And he's like, well, how does the seed get in? How does the seed get inside? And I was like, well, it goes in through the vagina.
Right.
And then he's like, well, how? He's like, do you just suck it up through a straw? What he actually said was, does it get sucked up like a grape?
How does a grape get, I don't even know.
Like, I guess he was thinking of something like the seed might be the size of a grape if it turns into a baby. Like, I don't know if that's his mindset. Like, I was like, a grape. Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think honesty is important. Like, I want to answer his questions. It was earlier than I wanted to, but eventually I just said, you have to put the penis in the vagina and that's how you get the seed inside. And he was like, ew. Like, he was so disgusted.
That's good, right?
Yeah.
You want him to be like a little bit disgusted, I think, to begin with.
Yes.
Right.
He wasn't like, oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to try that. Yeah.
That was not, he was like, do I have to? And I was like, well, there are people that do it other ways. So there are other ways to do it.
Can explore when he gets to that point.
Yeah. So
it's kind of cute, but I can see uncomfortable.
I just don't, it feels a little bit like I'm like stealing his innocence or like.
Right. I think it's so interesting, like the discussion of like the amount that you want to tell your kid about anything, because I feel like there's a lot of different thoughts and philosophies, and maybe there's a right psychological way. I don't know. But like, it's funny because Mike comes from a family where like no one talked about anything uncomfortable.
Right.
And our family probably provided too much information on things that were uncomfortable.
Yes.
But I mean, I assume there's a healthy medium. But like, is there like a guideline of like give a kid enough information to do X or be as honest as Y, or like what is the thought process that goes into?
Yeah. I mean, I will be honest. I'm not a child psychologist for this is not my area of expertise. So I will say that off the bat. Happy to have a child psychologist come help me figure out how to do this. I think what I would say is be honest, but put it in terms that they can understand.
Right. Like, let's say you're getting a divorce.
Right.
That's a good one for like, what amount of information would you tell your kid?
Right. For sure. And I also think it depends on like what they're wanting to know. Mm-hmm. Like I think if they're asked this, that's how I ended up with this conversation with Brooks, is I ended up trying to kind of give him like a little bit of information that I thought was age appropriate. And he kept on asking more questions, to which I don't want to lie about it. I mean, it is biology.
Right.
Like,
you don't want to make it shameful.
Yes. And make it shameful either. Totally. So I think with like a divorce, you could just phrase it as in like, we've decided that we would all be happier, or like that it would be better for the family if, Daddy and I lived separately, or that, and just kind of like answering questions as they come. I think with divorce in specific, it's important to say it's not your fault and there's nothing that you did wrong and everybody loves you very much, and especially not throwing any one of the parents under the bus and making it like an equal, at least at a young age,
right?
An equal decision,
like a unified decision. Yeah.
Yes. Unified decision, nobody's fault, certainly not your fault, but questions, you're going to be okay. You're going to get to see everybody and spend time, like soothing.
The it's not your fault thing is so funny, because I always wonder, there's some kids who are like, well, why would you even say that?
Right. Yes. Totally.
Why would I think it was my fault? Right.
Yes.
I always think that I get why people do it and it's like nice, but I'm always like, I'm sure there are certain kids that are like, well, I didn't even think of that as an option until you just said it.
Right. I don't think kids' brains go to that place of like playing the chess game of like, you're bringing this up because you do think it's my fault. And that's like, I don't think most small
just
kids
in case you were worried, because, it's a little your fault now.
Totally. So true. So yeah, I think I was with the Brooks thing, I think I was caught off guard with how unprepared I was, considering I've done this already 2 times before.
Right. Well, I'm sure there's an article you could read.
Yeah, I know. I think it was fine. But when he was like so grossed out, I was just like, oh, did I? And I was also like, you cannot tell anybody at school about this. Like,
it's a secret.
Just like, this is, because I don't want him
spreading misinformation too.
No, it's not misinformation. It's actually great information. It probably would be good for all the kids to just know it at some point. But I don't want it to come from him if their parents are not ready. I mean, he's in second grade. I think it was probably a little earlier. Right. Most people have this conversation, but he's asking, I'm not going to lie to him. It's biology. It didn't sound like he was going to run out and try this. He seemed very ready, very happy to wait a long, long time before he had to do anything like that. So
good. Yeah. Well, if he asks again, you can give him, he can call me.
Oh yeah. How would you handle it if he was like sleeping over at your house and he asked you that question?
Like, where do babies come from?
Yeah. You'd be like, ask your mom.
Oh, I might give it a go.
All right.
We'll see. I think I could, I might be, in some ways I might be like better at it than you are because there's less of like there's almost like a parent-child weirdness around that, which is maybe why people find out information from like a friend or an older sibling or something like that.
Totally. That is one thing I think because our mom was a gynecologist.
Right.
I've always been pretty open with bodies and body parts and like there's no shameful stuff around that. So like I think they are comfortable asking questions and knowing that they're going to get the real answer. Like it's there, like you said in the beginning, there's something nice about having a family where everything is talked about.
Yeah.
But not everyone's families are like that. Like
totally.
Even we have, obviously we're Jewish. We don't do like Santa doesn't come to our house and we kind of are like, well, we don't really believe in Santa Claus. That's not part of Hanukkah. And so I'm also like, don't tell anyone at school about that. Like they believe in Santa Claus. That's really fun for them. Like, don't rain on anyone's parade. Like,
yeah. And I do think part of it is like a comfort level. I was reading an article, or not reading an article, I think a Q&A about like, when is it okay for your kid to when should your kid stop seeing you naked?
Right.
Like what age is the appropriate age to stop like nudity? And I think then vice versa. And the answer was kind of like, there is no right age. It's like whenever the first person in the family becomes uncomfortable, that's the age. So if it's you that becomes uncomfortable, whatever that age is, if it's them that becomes uncomfortable at a certain age before you, that's what the age is. It's kind of just like very person dependent.
Totally.
Because I feel like different cultures have different norms around that. And like you always had, I feel like you had friends who were like in a naked house and friends who were in like a no nudity house.
Right. You can totally tell. Like I remember just like kind of crazy now thinking, I mean, not really, but like in college, it was like when I was on the volleyball team in college, it was like like some of the places where we showered were like big open, like prison showers, like a big room with a bunch of shower heads. And you could tell like who came from a naked house, like just scrub-a-dub-dubbing, like
not a care in the world.
Who was like curled up against the corner, like quickly, getting their wash in. And
and no one's right or wrong. I think it's kind of just what your own level of comfort is. So I think it's good to follow his lead, what you were doing with like, what does he want to know? You're not like you're not telling him like a ton of information that he didn't ask for that's going to scar him. Like you're answering his curiosity better that he asked you than some idiot at school.
Totally. So I felt good about it. It was a little sooner than I probably would have liked, but he seems to have totally forgotten. I don't think he's scarred. But afterwards, I was like, oh gosh, is that going to like destroy his innocence now? But it's just, it's life. It's human. It's bodies. Animals have, he could go to the farm and find out, in a different way.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into our episode. I thought this was good. I'm sure if anyone's going through something similar, I feel like kids, what's the age where kids start to ask questions you don't feel like answering? 4?
Yeah. I mean, it could just happen. I think some kids are very curious. I think in the beginning, you can do the thing where you're just like, what we did in the very beginning was like, there's an egg and a seed and they come together and it makes a baby. And some kids are like, okay,
Right.
great. Like I plant the seed in the ground and it makes a tree. They're
Right.
kind of
That
like
makes
happy
sense.
with that. But after some time, they start to get a little bit more curious. The explanation that I liked, we used to have a book called Where Did I Come From? I don't know if you remember seeing it in our house.
I feel like that sounds familiar.
It was like from the 70s. It's actually a really funny book. I wish I had it. I would show it for the people listening on YouTube who could see like the pictures. It had like really funny pictures. Maybe I'll try to find it.
I feel like I do remember this book.
Yeah. It had like there was one page where there was like a drawing of a naked lady, like bush and all, 70s style. And then there's like the man and they're both naked. It shows all the parts. And then it says,
do a special cuddle.
Which I thought, yes, they have a special hug.
Special cuddle. Yeah. I think I remember that.
I probably, maybe I didn't need to go straight to penis and vagina. I could have gone to like mommy
special
and daddy
hug.
have a special hug.
He might be afraid of special hugs then.
That's true. It's like, I don't want to make a baby every time I have a special hug.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it said they have a special hug. And the other thing that was interesting was that it says they kind of start to talk about like an orgasm and like what that feels like.
Now this is all ringing a bell. Yeah.
Yes. It was one of those books where you're like, felt a little juicy.
Right. I'm sure it was floating around the house.
Yeah, floating around. I'm going to find it. I'm going to send you the cover. You're going to have a flashback. But it says that it's like a sneeze, which I think for a kid is like an interesting.
It is like a sneeze.
Yeah.
Feels good
like a
after.
build up and then like a release.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Maybe he might have gotten his hands on that book actually, because he was talking about like a sneeze. Like, why does a sneeze feel good?
Maybe someone showed him the book
like that.
You should ask him why he suddenly asked.
I'm sure his sisters probably should. They know the book.
Oh, they know the book. Okay.
Yeah. They've seen it.
Yeah.
It's a good book. You could just 70s style. I like it.
Why didn't you just read him the book instead of coming up with your own thing?
I don't know. It was late at night. I was just like, this is the thing. You get caught off guard, and
right.
You're just like,
you're kind of like,
I'm in this moment and now it's go time. And
feel pressured. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to like make it, like you said, shameful. Like we're not talking about this right now. So I just did the best I could.
Well, it sounds like you did a good job.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Let me know if there's follow-up.
Yes, I will. Okay. Now,
let's get into our episode. If you want to leave us a voicemail, you can leave us a voicemail at 646-363-6294 or email us at oversharing@betches.com. If you want to subscribe, we have 2 subscription episodes, bonus episodes a month, and you get all the episodes ad-free and a day early. Love our subscribers. Love the conversations going on in the subscription episodes. Or you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups if you want to get even more involved. How do they do that?
Yes. Find me at naomibernstein.com. We have rolling admission, so reach out. We'll find a group that works for you. We're doing some fun challenges. They change every few weeks. Right now, we're doing a screen time challenge, trying to be more mindful of when you're picking up your phone, why you're picking up your phone, what are you seeking, what are you avoiding. So we're always exploring and challenging, connecting the connections that we're making in these groups. It's crazy because it's online, it's virtual. People are all across the country, but there's deep connections formed there. So if you are seeking more community, come join us, naomibernstein.com, and we will find a group that works for you.
Love it. All right. Well, check it out. Let's get into our episode. I'll read our first email.
Sounds good.
Hi, Dr. Naomi and Jordana. First off, I just want to say I love the pod and listen every week. It's so great to hear your unique perspectives. I wanted to write in to see if I could get some advice on how to tell my parents about my age gap relationship. For reference, I'm in my late 20s and my boyfriend is 25 years older than me, which I am aware is a very large gap. Honestly, I never pictured myself dating anyone older, and it took time for things to progress between us. But overall, I'm really happy. And we've been together for a little over a year. We met through work. He is the CEO of the company I worked for at the time. The entire time we've been together, I've kept our relationship private from many people in my life, aside from a few close friends and family. I live in a different state than most of my friends and family, and I'm also aware that the stereotypes with age gaps and him previously being my boss, and I wanted to feel it out and be sure I was serious about things before telling everyone. We are now talking about getting engaged, and I feel the pressure to tell my parents soon. My boyfriend has been supportive of me telling them when I feel ready, and my siblings already know and have been keeping it a secret. The tricky part is my parents are extremely religious, and I know they won't be happy. I left the religion I grew up in at 18, and they took it terribly. All my siblings have also left, and this has created a lot of distance between my parents and us kids. They wanted me to marry a good Mormon boy in the temple, so I feel like dropping this bomb will shatter them. While I do not need their support because I'm used to not having it, how can I tell them about my relationship and acknowledge the stereotypes to let them know I've thought it through? I've been thinking of waiting until I'm engaged to tell them, but I'm not sure if that would be worse. Also, if there are any age gap relationship questions you think that I should ask myself to be sure I'm ready, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too. Thanks for all you do.
All right. There's a lot here.
A lot to unpack. Yeah.
Yes. There's age gap, there's the religion, and then there's the what should I think about before marrying someone 25 years
Yeah.
older than me?
And a little bit of the power dynamic question, I guess.
Yes. My
Yes.
boss. Totally. But I don't think she works there anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
So that would be definitely different if she was still working
Still
for him.
there,
I
for
can't
sure.
imagine like working for your husband, especially in a corporate setting like that.
For sure.
So
where do you think where should we start?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say, I think that's important, is that I think they need to live out before they get engaged. Like, I think they need to live the life meeting her parents, seeing what that's like, being out and about, being public about their relationship, and navigating all of that before you decide. It's very different. It's like, being on The Bachelor and then going out into real life.
Right. Yeah. To see if they can handle the situation of that being public in their day-to-day lives. I think that's a great point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So I think it's important to like live that life and meet her parents, and for both ends. One, so they can see what it's like to kind of just be more open about their relationship. I'm assuming if they're hiding it from her parents, they're probably like living under the radar to a certain extent so they don't find out. But also, so for them to be able to see what that's like, and also for the parents to kind of, I think what happens a lot in these situations where you're going to potentially marry someone that your parents disapprove of is that they have to kind of earn their way in through time, through showing up to functions and being kind, and them seeing that they're a kind person and that you have a good relationship, and all the things that they're probably more on a deeper level fearful of, that they can see it playing out in real life. And I think that will help them, not at first, but over time. Spending time with this person will probably help.
Right. Yeah, I think that and I can understand why she doesn't want to do that, because she does ask, should I just wait till I'm engaged? I think that stood out to me as the wrong move for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think it feels very intense, and it does feel that's another pill to swallow of like, you're engaged to someone I've never even met.
Yes. Yeah, that is hard for parents, I think, in general, to have that happen. So whatever they're feeling, then finding out you're engaged on top of it is just going to, wreak more havoc for their nervous system than needs
I think
to be.
any parent would feel a panic that their child was engaged to someone that they didn't know, regardless of any other information about them. So how would you suggest that she tell them? And I think, we've gotten this similar questions before of like, how do I tell someone something that they don't necessarily want to hear, especially my parents, but that I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with?
Yeah. I mean, in some regards, I say there's only one way to say it, which is to say it, right? I've been dating someone. I'd like you to meet him. All the things that are amazing about him. He's this, he's that. We met at work. she could say he was, however she wants to say it, he was the CEO of the company that I used to work for. We met back then, but I wanted to make sure it was serious before I introduced you guys. Say all the wonderful things that you love about him. And then you can say, I do want you to know he's significantly older than me. But we talk about it a lot and, we're both okay with it. And when you meet him, you'll see that we really have great energy and dynamic, and it doesn't really affect the way that we get along or whatever. And then, I think if her parents think she left the religion and she's going to happen to find someone Mormon when she's not even practicing, would be delusional. Like, I don't think they're probably expecting that at this point.
Yeah.
So that's probably not as much of an issue.
Yeah. It seems more like, she has a history of disappointing her parents. She doesn't want to have to do it again and seemingly disappoint them or share bad news with them again. Another thing that sort of struck me about this email was the question at the end about the age gap questions you think I should ask myself to be sure I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like a very important thing that was sort of like a side question, but it did seem like
she is feeling a little bit.
Right. I feel like you can't confidently present someone to your family unless you feel confident about them too.
Yeah.
So I think that she, it's almost like she needs to process and feel comfortable with the relationship and with who she's with before she can feel confident when bringing him to someone else.
Totally. Yep, I agree. And I think it also will make her, part of developing confidence is that when someone comes to you with a question or a doubt, which parents like to do, right? They like to bring up the thing that could be wrong in a situation to try to protect you from it. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So I think if you've already thought about those things and discussed them together with your partner and maybe on your own or whatever that is, then when those things come up, you're less likely to get defensive and angry and feel like you're being caught off guard or you're not prepared to answer those questions. So I think your whole nervous system will be able to stay calm if they're like, well, what are you going to do, in, I don't know, 20 years when you're, in your late 40s and he's in his 70s and he's can't, do things that you can do, or he can't, maybe he has illnesses, or are you prepared to take care of him? And
does he want
kids? That's not going to happen. Or right. Yes.
Does he have kids from a previous? I don't know how old. I mean, she said he's 25 years older than us. He's in his 50s. Does he already have kids? Have you thought about what it would be like to be in that family? Does he want more kids? The things that would come up naturally in an age gap relationship, I think that might present themselves as problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And, thinking about, I'm sure something that comes to mind is if I don't know, I have no clue if she wants kids, but if she does, he is going to be a significantly older parent. How's that going to affect his ability to participate in the way that you want it to? I think these are conversations that the two of you need to have, whether it's about children or just about expectations and caring for him and, and just energy and there is a culture in your generation that I think sometimes can feel a little off. Even Jeff is 7 years older than me, 6.5, 7 years older. So they're even between our little Gen X / whatever generation I'm in. There's it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect our relationship because it's not that big, but there's these little cultural differences in terms of what you find funny or nostalgic or
your generational values.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think they're totally, especially in this type of age gap, a 25-year age gap, there might be these generational value systems that are part of the culture at one time and the culture changes at another time. So
right. And she might not have even asked herself these questions because she was not sure how deeply into this she was. And now as it's starting to get more serious is the time. Do you think she should ask herself those questions before she tells her parents or after?
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely would make sense to do it now. and think about it and talk about it so that she's kind of that the two of them together are sort of prepared to answer the questions.
Right. That they're going to get from her parents and probably other people when they're living out, like you said.
Yeah. Or if it depends on her type of family. Like you said, if they're the type of family that doesn't talk about anything, they might not say anything. They might just get angry and withdraw and, be passive aggressive, or they might say, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And it might make them feel better if you're like, yeah, we actually have thought about this and that.
Right.
And, whatever it is, we decide, I really don't want kids, or I do, and this is how we're going to work it out. Or, we're putting aside money for long-term healthcare, or, so that I don't have to be burdened with that down the line. Like, these aren't sexy conversations, but when you're in this type of relationship, I think it does make sense to have those types of conversations.
Totally agree. And I think this sort of speaks to, I think her hesitancy and her writing in speaks to an issue that a lot of people have of like the discomfort of telling people something they don't want to hear.
Yep.
And I would almost call that non-confrontational. And I have that too,
Mm-hmm.
where you want someone to have the experience that they want to have, maybe at the expense of your own experience.
Yes. Yeah. And I think around these like romantic marriage, kids, family, whatever, there's like a fantasy aspect of like, what we see on TV, and we want it to go this way, and we introduce our person to our parents, and we all giggle and laugh and hug, and it's amazing. And that's not how it's going to be. I mean, that's okay.
Right.
And I don't think so, at least. And it's going to be uncomfortable, but I do think, like you're saying, sometimes avoiding the discomfort takes up so much more energy than that actual like punch of whatever it is, disappointment, or they get angry, or maybe they raise their voice, or maybe they are critical, and you can handle that. Especially like you have a partner who I'm assuming is super supportive by your side. You're not going to be alone in handling it. And I do think most of the time, parents, there are some extreme cases where they don't, but most of the time it's going to be really hard. There's going to be like a flailing of trying to control a situation that they don't like. And then eventually they're going to settle in and accept this person because they have no choice otherwise, but except to create even more distance than it sounds like is already there.
Right.
So I think if you can expect it, ride it out, know that it's not going to be comfortable. You can handle the discomfort. They're not going to die from the discomfort. You're not going to die from the discomfort. And I think after that first initial visit or announcement, or a week or two after that, typically I see that it starts to feel better and more accepting. I wish we got an update from the woman with the grandma and the tattoos, and
Yeah. Send it in.
Yeah, because that's
You're
kind
listening.
of like, yes, that's like there's like this moment where I'm avoiding this thing for years and years, or months in this case, and then you're like, okay, that thing happened. I can deal with it. Like, we're all
Right.
going to breathe in and out after this.
And it's so much better than like living in the like uncertainty of, you hype up the actual thing so much that it kind of ruins your time thinking about it, when you could actually save yourself a lot of grief by just ripping off the Band-Aid.
Yeah. And it all comes from our old wounds and our body's urge, even if the old wound was, like your parents were disappointed in you because, I don't know, whatever, you didn't go to church on Sunday and you went somewhere else instead, and they got mad and they yelled at you. Well, that wound is still in there somewhere. And yes, at that time, it felt like the biggest thing. And maybe your heart was racing, or you got angry or flushed, like something happened in your body, and your brain's job is to prevent that uncomfortable feeling from happening again. But it's overprotective, and it makes it feel like it's going to be worse than it is, even if it's the exact same thing or a little bit worse. Like, it's not really going to physically threaten you, especially these childhood wounds that feel like these are the people that feed me and take me everywhere and do everything for me. So if they're disappointed or angry at me, in some cases, they can be really, really bad or abusive or mean. In some cases, they might just be cold or withholding. But it means your body thinks it still means the same thing that it did when you were 8 or 9 or 10. But now that's not where you get your food. That's not where you get all your love and protection and care. So your body still thinks that it means as much as it did for them to be disappointed in you or angry at you as it did when you were 9. And it doesn't. You have friends, you have a new boyfriend, you have a life outside of your parents. So you need to just create the experience so your body can be like, oh, okay, we're actually okay. They're really mad. They're not happy with me. Maybe they said some things that didn't feel good, but like, I'm going to go, I get to like go to my own home tonight. I don't have to, I get to have separation. I get to go hang out with a friend and do something different. I can drive myself where I want to go. I don't have to be in that tense environment anymore.
Yeah, I think this was helpful for the listener. Give us an update on how it went. If you followed any of these tips.
Yeah.
Would love
and
to
good
know.
luck.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're heading in the right direction, asking the right questions.
Yes.